this world where someone is claiming to be a billionaire, Brooks Brothers won't cut it.
Christopher Nolan wears basically the same thing every day.
Is it true he wears a suit every day to set?
A jacket, waistcoat, shirt, scarf, sometimes a tie. Nolan almost always wears a suit.
He directs in a suit and tie, doesn't he?
It's the same as Alfred Hitchcock, Stanley Kubrick, David Lynch.
David wore pretty much the same look every day.
So the question remains, why?
I said, I'm going to wear this, and then I always know what I'm going to wear. I can think more about what I'm creating that day.
This isn't a novel concept. When you need to make 100 decisions a day on set, save some mental bandwidth by not thinking about what you're going to wear. But here's the thing. It's not just Nolan himself that always wears the same thing. It's his characters too. Think about it. J. Robert Oppenheimer.
J. Robert Oppenheimer.
Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne?
The protagonist.
I'm the protagonist.
Almost every Nolan character wears a suit.
I need a new suit.
And this might seem inconsequential, but it actually tells us a lot about the types of characters he's interested in. Because someone in a suit is usually a certain type of person in a certain type of setting with a certain type of authority.
I'm not sure that they'll let us. Oh, they should. I own the place.
And by looking at this, we can understand a key part of Christopher Nolan's style and his interest as a storyteller. This video is brought to you by Mubi, a curated streaming service dedicated to elevating great cinema from all around the globe. Each and every film is hand-selected by its team of curators. Get a whole month free at mubi.com/archergreen.
I started to follow people.
Who?
Anyone first. Somebody at random. Somebody who didn't know who I was.
This is Nolan's first feature film, Following, from 1998.
And then?
And then nothing.
And what stands out to you in this shot? The guy in the suit. But this isn't the protagonist, this is an unemployed guy simply called the Young Man who stalks strangers around London in inspiration to write a book.
I was gathering material for my characters.
The guy in the suit is Cobb.
My name's Cobb.
And Cobb is a serial burglar.
You don't look like a burglar. Sounds like a compliment.
After noticing he's being stalked, he takes the young man under his wing.
Mind if I join you?
And before long, the young man starts wearing a suit too.
New haircut, new set of clothes. Your mother won't recognise you.
And here, in his very first feature film, we can see Nolan's fascination with suits materialise.
Oh, it's a nice haircut though. Nice suit as well.
By cutting his hair and dropping his shabby clothes, the young man gains a level of status and authority. The suit is a manifestation of his newfound confidence and purpose. He's transformed from a nobody into a somebody.
I just feel better this way.
This is a filmmaking technique that lets Nolan show character progression visually. He's a completely different character from the start to the end of the film, so he looks completely different too. This is a fairly simple trick that he uses time and time again. When Bruce Wayne returns to Gotham in Batman Begins, he emerges in a suit.
Too many wheels turning, we're going public.
And in Tenet, once the protagonist joins the agency, he debuts in a new suit.
How can I help, sir?
But why suits? For Nolan's characters, suits are akin to a set of armour in a medieval movie, or a colourful costume in a superhero film.
Gotham needs a hero with a face.
We even get this moment in Oppenheimer, which is shot like a superhero suit-up scene, with Oppenheimer putting on the hat and grabbing the pipe as if he's becoming the iconic character we recognise in pop culture. The script even calls him the iconic J. Robert Oppenheimer in this moment. If this was Spider-Man, it would be the first time he puts on the spider suit, but it's not. It's a film about World War II era scientists, so they wear what World War II era scientists would wear.
Take off that ridiculous uniform. You're a scientist.
Inception and Tenet are about James Bond-esque secret agents, and what does James Bond wear? A suit. The Prestige is about 19th century magicians, and what do 19th century magicians wear? Suits. What do billionaire businessmen wear? Suits. What I'm trying to get at here is that Nolan protagonists wear suits because that's the natural choice of costume for their character in their world. But what exactly is this type of character? And why is Christopher Nolan almost exclusively interested in these types of guys? There's a couple of things we can identify. Number one, they usually have a lot of money to their disposal.
Those shares are worth quite a bit of money.
Number two, they're professionals and well respected in what they do.
Now I'm looking for a project director.
And number three, what they do is usually a professional and well-respected occupation.
Oh, we have a job to do.
Be it the nation's best scientists or kind of sci-fi secret agents, they're never an everyman figure but rather an extraordinary person with an extraordinary job. Nolan's protagonists are almost always people of importance.
How about because this is the most important fucking thing that ever happened in the history of the world?
It wouldn't make sense for Oppenheimer to wear a t-shirt and jeans because what he does is more important than that.
Because you're not just so important, you're actually important.
So, from this use of suits, we can learn that Nolan is interested in the cutting edge of society, people with high status doing important work. But it's not quite as simple as that, and his use of suits differs from film to film. So to prove this, let's go through Nolan's filmography and keep an eye on the costume design.
Well, you're obviously not a policeman, so who are you and why are you following me?
First up is Following, which we've already discussed.
Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't piss me about who the fuck are you?
In typical Nolan fashion, the timeline is non-linear, but chronologically, as soon as the young man gets a haircut and starts dressing nicely, every single outfit he wears is a suit.
I even got him to cut his hair and change his clothes.
Next up is Memento.
Were you wearing designer suits when you sold insurance?
I didn't sell insurance. I investigated.
Right, you're an investigator.
Guy Pearce's Leonard wears this tan suit with a blue shirt, and this is definitely on the more casual end of Nolan's suit spectrum. The lighter colour palette and softer tailoring make him blend into the more everyday spaces this movie occupies.
You can't just waltz in here dressed like that and ask for a beer.
It's a lot more dressed down than what comes after. He never even wears a tie.
What, is there a dress code?
But unlike most Nolan protagonists, Leonard isn't a particularly important person in the world he inhabits. He's not a billionaire or a secret agent, he's just a guy with memory loss.
Well, that's the thing. I have this condition.
So, this begs the question, why put him in a suit at all? Well, apart from Nolan's own fashion sense, it's a genre reason.
You know, people sometimes ask me if I think it's a film noir as if I would take objection to that. But I don't, I'm very comfortable with that.
Memento is playing with noir conventions, and in a noir film, the investigator protagonist is almost always wearing a suit.
You mentioned Double Indemnity, that's certainly a film that there are things from in this film.
As an audience, we expect an investigator to wear a suit, so that's what Leonard wears. So it's a way to anchor the film in its noir roots.
And I think the film, to a certain extent, is a combination of that kind of material with some of the more experimental narrative and editing rhythms.
But the casual dressed down look tells us this isn't a typical straightforward noir investigation.
Killed my wife. He took away my fucking memory.
And this leads us nicely onto his next movie, which is also a noir film, Insomnia.
Yes, I'm a little cranky. Lack of sleep,
Honestly, there's not all that much to say about this. It's the only movie where Nolan doesn't have a writing credit. Al Pacino plays a detective and wears a fairly standard suit for most of the movie in line with the genre trappings. This is what you'd expect a detective to wear, so this is what he wears.
Can't be easy to keep working after 3 days of no sleep.
Next up, Batman Begins. Bruce is often seen in traditional three-button business suits, but there's not much personality to them. It's sophisticated and high-end, but a bit generic.
I am looking for a job.
But all of this changes in The Dark Knight.
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
He switched to more modern, flashy, three-piece suits.
3 buttons is a little 90s, Mr. Wayne.
It's here that Bruce's public persona as a billionaire playboy is most actively weaponized. The suit becomes part of his Bruce Wayne performance. He's no longer just wearing it to fit in, but using his clothes strategically, a deliberate mask to further his agenda.
Where is Harvey?
And this continues until The Dark Knight Rises.
They expect one of us in the wreckage, brother.
Bruce doesn't put on a suit until about 30 minutes in, but when he does, it's softer, more relaxed, and less formal. There's not much focus on conveying this billionaire playboy persona. He's no longer using the suit to sell anything, which matches the deconstruction of his character we see in this film.
Looks like you need a ride, huh?
Across the trilogy, these changes are subtle, but they go a long way to show Bruce's journey, from insecure billionaire trying to fit in, to being confident in his playboy persona,
And all that he's been doing.
and finally a tired, older guy who can't really be bothered with this persona anymore. But we got ahead of ourselves, because right after Batman Begins was The Prestige,
It belongs with the prestige materials.
which is a tricky one.
It's a very clever trick, Mr.
It's set around the turn of the 20th century, when fashion was different, but still recognisable and functionally similar to today. The shirts have these wingtip collars, the jackets were longer, and top hats were still in fashion.
Bit old-fashioned, isn't it?
But what's interesting here is the difference in style between Angier, played by Hugh Jackman,
Man's reach exceeds his imagination.
and Borden, played by Christian Bale. Angier's tailoring is consistently more elegant than Borden's. He wears fancier jackets, a variety of textures, extravagant ties, richer colours, and often paired with tall hats, shiny chains, and ornate canes. He understands that magic is showmanship. His primary interest is captivating an audience, and therefore his clothes project a level of showmanship and pizzazz.
Ladies and gentlemen, my first trick of the evening is one that involves considerable risk.
But on the other hand, Borden is more interested in cold, hard magic.
Are you watching closely?
So his tailoring is noticeably plainer and more functional. He wears basic jackets, standard textures, simple ties. His clothes are less well fitted and overall less extravagant.
What you came for, is it?
And this aligns with his philosophy of magic.
Yes, sir.
The trick matters more than the performer.
Just a rubber ball, yes?
There's more focus on delivering a great magic trick than flashy showmanship, and his clothes reflect that.
Not a normal rubber ball. It's magic.
He's a dreadful showman. He doesn't know how to dress it up, how to sell the
Why, how does he do it?
This technique of using subtle changes in characters' style to allude to their different personalities would be leveled up in the next movie we're going to talk about. Inception is similar to The Dark Knight in how it inhabits a high-end corporate world, but it's got a bigger cast of characters. So, how do you distinguish between each of their styles? And how does this style reflect who each character is?
You wouldn't happen to be related to the Maurice Fisher, would you?
Cillian Murphy is heir to a massive conglomerate.
He was my father.
He's old money, so he wears double-breasted suits which have a more aristocratic, wealthier vibe.
I'm insured against kidnapping for up to 10 million.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the details guy.
I consider Arthur sort of like the producer.
Who values control and precision.
He's the organized one.
So he wears three-piece, tighter, more rigid and structured suits that fit his more rigid and structured way of thinking.
He's the one that's like, make the nuts and bolts underneath it work.
On the other hand, we've got Tom Hardy.
Mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling.
Who's more of a loose cannon. His suits are noticeably looser and more relaxed. He often forgoes a tie and uses more varied fabrics.
Very amusing, Mr. Hughes.
And finally, we have DiCaprio.
Because I am the most skilled extractor.
Whose character is defined by an emotional instability.
This was your responsibility! Oh, goddammit, don't do this! This was not a part of the plan!
Cobb's clothes are still sharp and expensive, but they consistently feel slightly rumpled, a bit worn. They're visually lived in rather than pristine. He often doesn't do the top button up. This subtle imperfection signals that Cobb is a professional still functioning at a high level, but under continuous strain.
Grandpa, alright? And you be good.
At this point in his career, Nolan had done 9 films in a row of suited protagonists. But after Inception and The Dark Knight Rises, he must have gotten a bit bored, because in his next film, the clothes were a lot more casual. Interstellar marks a first in Nolan's career. It's the first time the protagonist never dresses formally.
This is Cooper, go.
Cooper is either wearing his spacesuit or this brown jacket. The most formal he ever gets is his shirt at the very end of the film.
Honesty, new setting.
Honestly, this is mostly because we're confined by the genre and the setting. It doesn't make sense to wear a suit in space or on a farm, so they don't.
The world needs farmers.
But if we take a step back and analyse this through a meta lens of Nolan's filmography, Coop doesn't wear a suit because he's a very different type of protagonist.
And Matthew has such a great earthy American sensibility to her.
You see, in basically all of Nolan's films, the characters have been important people.
That's Bruce Wayne!
But in Interstellar, the protagonist is just a salt of the earth farmer whose main character trait is being a father.
He's also a father himself.
It's only through the events of the film that he becomes an important high-status person, off on a mission to try and save humanity.
Couldn't you have told her you were going to save the world?
And this brief interest in more ordinary people continues into Dunkirk.
I didn't want to cut to generals in rooms, moving things around on maps and explaining
The usual
things.
war movie.
The usual war movie tropes.
We follow a regular soldier, a regular pilot, and regular civilian sailors.
Ready on the stern line, George.
And the clothes reflect this. The soldier is in a standard British Army uniform, looking no different to the hundreds of others on the beach. Tom Hardy's pilot looks very anonymous, his face obscured by a mask.
42, what's your fuel?
And the sailors are in regular clothes from the 1940s, with the captain sporting a tie to signal his high status.
They've asked for the Moonstone, they'll have her. And her captain.
Naturally, when we do see high-ranking officials, they're wearing more formal clothes, but Dunkirk, even more so than Interstellar, is interested in the stories of ordinary people, and the clothes reflect that.
Hey! Where are we?
But with his next film, this brief interest in nobodies would all come to an end.
I chose the tailors who built the clothes according to what they do best for whom I wanted to dress.
This is Jeffrey Kirtland, costume designer for Dunkirk, Inception, and our next movie, Tenet.
So each one of those characters had a different tailor making their clothes.
And he's talking about the tailoring.
So when you see Neil standing next to the protagonist, you see a physical difference in the way they are and the way they present.
With Tenet, Nolan returns to a more formal world, and like Inception, the suits fit the characters.
The protagonist, John David, his suits are much more fitted, whereas Neil, the cut of his suit is a little fuller, the legs are a little fuller, the body isn't so hugging.
I'm Neil.
But unlike Inception, where almost all of the action is done in suits, in Tenet, apart from this, it's done in a SWAT uniform. a military uniform, even fireman's gear. The protagonist is dressing much more to fit his environment and what he's doing at any given time. When it makes sense for him to be in a suit, he's in a suit, but when it doesn't, he's not. In a way, he's dressed very anonymously.
Who are you?
Everything he wears to fit in, which reinforces the blank slate nature of the protagonist, a purposefully unnamed character.
Mr. Goya.
No, I'm told you're the person to see about Goya.
He very intentionally has no backstory. Anytime a personal question is asked, he deflects, and his clothing is just an extension of this deflection.
My name is Sanjay. And you are?
Similar to Bruce Wayne, he uses clothes as a mask to conceal his identity. He doesn't want to be recognizable, which is the exact opposite of the next Nolan protagonist.
As we begin, I believe you have a statement to read into the record.
I talked before about how this moment in Oppenheimer plays almost like a suit-up sequence in a superhero movie. And this was a conscious decision, because there was a deliberate effort to make Oppenheimer's outfit iconic.
It wasn't an accident, the hat and the pipe. It was a very conscious thing for Oppenheimer. He was very consciously creating his own iconography.
In pursuit of this icon status, costume designer Ellen Morozinik ensured that no other character would ever wear a hat.
He has a particular, I call it mythic image, and it always includes this hat.
And she pinpoints the moment when he first puts on the hat, the suit-up scene, as a pivotal moment in Oppenheimer's evolution.
To highlight that at a pinnacle moment was quite important in the story and for the evolution of the character.
Oppenheimer himself is purposefully building a mythos around him. He wants to be recognizable, he wants to be remembered, and his clothes are a central part of this.
Nice picture.
They say an iconic character design is one way you can recognize it from the silhouette alone. And I'd say Oppenheimer certainly passes this test. He's using his outfit as a way to construct his own identity, and if you think about it, this is what basically every Nolan protagonist has done.
Bruce Wayne, billionaire orphan?
In Inception, the team wears suits to present a more professional image of themselves, essentially heightening the status of their organisation.
No one likes to feel someone else messing around in their mind.
In The Prestige, Angier's flashy and extravagant suits are central to his showman identity.
Entertaining trifle.
The protagonist uses generic clothes to blend in and obscure his identity.
You've got the suit, the shoes, the watch.
Bruce Wayne uses suits to project a constructed and purposeful image of himself to the outside world, hiding his true identity as Batman.
Is a persona to protect those you care about from reprisals.
Even going back to the following, the young man starts wearing a suit when he embraces his identity as a burglar.
Oh, it's a nice haircut, though. Nice suit as well.
Suits act as armour for the characters, making them more secure in the identity they've chosen for themselves. It allows Nolan's characters to purposefully elevate their status and convey to us as an audience that we're watching important people doing important work.
Because it made him the most important man who ever lived.
But Nolan isn't the only filmmaker who understands how much a costume can say. One of my favourite examples is The Fall, where the design of each character instantly tells us about where they come from, who they are, and gives us a glimpse into their personality. And you can discover great films like this on Mubi, a curated streaming service dedicated to elevating great cinema from all around the globe. From iconic directors to emerging auteurs, there's always something new to discover. With Mubi, each and every film is hand-selected by its team of curators. Discover the best of cinema at your fingertips, streaming anytime, anywhere. One of my favourite features is the collections, where you can explore a hand-picked selection of films related to a specific theme, filmmaker or region. Check out the fashion and film collection to discover more movies with great costume design. You can try Mubi for free for 30 days at mubi.com/archergreen. That's mubi.com/archergreen for a whole month of great cinema for free.